Hey guys, what's going on? Katie Day with the Movement to Texas team down here in Houston, Texas, here with my good friend Steve and Kim Holmes for another episode of the Real Advice podcast. Steve, what's going on?
Not too much, Katie Day, not too much, just enjoying this crazy summer vibes here in Toronto. What about you? How are things down south?
Things are well. Are well. It's been an interesting month so far. And yeah, excited to start rolling into some real estate travel. I was actually just talking to my coach about that and trying to balance, getting work done and going on trips for real estate conferences. So I'm excited for the year to continue to progress. I know you just went on a trip. How was your trip?
We had nothing to do with business. It was good. We went to this little cottage resort style community just like 45 minutes north of Toronto. Took the wife and kids and had a blast. Had an absolute blast. So it's good. Speaking of conferences, Katie Day, because you're such an avid learner of everything. Like you're a lifelong learner. What would you say would be some of your go-to conferences? Now I know obviously the conference scene has changed kind of during COVID, but pre-COVID, even post-normalcy or post-COVID, whatever that normal. What am I trying to say? Getting back to the new normal. What are some of your the conferences that you're excited to go to, and the ones that you've gone to in the past? That would be really awesome.
I am excited for obviously Tom Ferry Summit. I think one of the ones that I like a lot is the Inman Connect, which it has been obviously it's normally historically in person, but lately has been on the interwebs. So that's been cool.
Now, Now, I know you're speaking at there's a big conference in San Diego the end of August. What is that? What conference is that?
So that's put on by Connor and Neil. Connor Murnane and Neil Home. I don't know Neil's last name, but his IG handles Neil Home. And it's basically just like a marketing and branding conference. So I'm pretty excited for that. It should be fun.
Sweet.
It's in San Diego, so we're gonna eat a bunch of tacos, drink some tequila, and talk about real estate and marketing and branding. So
sweet, amazing. What else do you have lined up for the rest of the year? Any other big conferences that you're speaking at, or you're going with a team or yourself?
So Tom Ferry is the big one, and then there's a few local things that we're doing. And yeah, so excited for that. I'm even more excited to welcome this week's guest.
Drum roll, please.
All right. So this week's guest is a top-notch realtor and team leader. He leads the number one ranked team in Pennsylvania and Delaware. They are small states, but Pennsylvania and Delaware. And he's the 49th ranked team in the U.S. for all real estate teams with his brokerage. His commitment to educating both consumers and agents shines through in not only his social media, but also just kind of his daily life. He has weekly shows that provide value for consumers and agents alike. He also has motivational content on the 5 a.m. call. And on Instagram, he provides tactical information and tips and advice for entrepreneurs. In addition to this, he's also a speaker nationally at real estate events across the country and is known for his innovative marketing and social media, top-notch systems, and dedication to script practice and calls. Please join me in welcoming this week's guest, Tom Toole.
Woo! Are you sure you have the right guy after that introduction? I don't
know. I think I do. What's going on, man? How are y'all?
Just working hard like everybody else, but excited you guys had me on. Looking forward to sharing and interested to kind of hear what you guys have going on too. So it should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I failed to mention that I was trying to figure out how to work it in, like the Peloton and the pickle hoagie rolls. That's another thing that I want to talk about today. And obviously green juice and smoothies, but I wasn't sure if that was necessarily on brand. So hopefully we get to dig into those.
Whatever you want to talk about, Katie, it's your show. I'm gonna
Sweet. So Tom, let's get it started. For the very few people who don't know who Tom Toole is, give us a quick little 2-minute rundown of who Tom Toole is and why real estate. Was this something that was ingrained in you as a youth, or is it something that kind of fell into your lap? Walk us through a little bit about who Tom Toole is and why real estate.
Sure. So I run the Tom Toole sales group at Remax Mainline. We're in the greater Philadelphia area. Like Katie had said, we this year we're going to sell a little over 500 homes. Last year we did 355, and Pennsylvania was, last year was interesting because we were like the most restricted region in the country at one point where we couldn't do anything. So a lot of challenges there. I got licensed when I was 19. So my father owns our firm, and it was like one of those things where your dad's telling you to do something and you're a jackass 19-year-old like I was, and I'm like, oh, this whatever, dude. Like, but ended up getting a license. Sold a couple homes when I was home from college one year, and I was an accounting and finance major, and it was more of, I'm like, wow, this is much better than doing journal entries and like finance sheets the rest of my life. Yeah, a little bit, but also too, like the ability to have a limitless potential. I think that's the most exciting thing about real estate, rather than having to deal with like, oh, my friends were, they're getting jobs at like Price Waterhouse Cooper, and they got to work their way up in the company, and that's just not for me. And I'm not a big believer in having to play that game. I'd rather just work hard and help people. And then as I got into it, I really saw that you could be like a PhD student, you could be the most successful lawyer out there, or really accomplished, and you might not know anything about real estate, literally nothing, when you're going through these transactions. And there's also people that need a lot of help and need a lot of guidance. And when I saw the ability to really help people with such a big financial decision, and knowing that there's such a bad population of agents that are out there. I mean, think about this. This number's out there. You guys probably have talked about it, that right now there's 1.4 million agents in the country. 87% of them are going to be gone in 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're out there doing deals, and they're helping, not all of them, because I think like 40% haven't done a deal through May. But knowing that's the case, those people, I mean, my view is those people should have no business helping someone buy the most expensive asset that they're going to buy. So that's where I really am clear. We could, people like you guys and myself and anyone that really believes in this job and believes in this career can really help people. That's a big driver, because I've seen mistakes be made, financial decisions that aren't great because of bad advice from an agent, or people just lose money. They might lose their deposit because the guy doesn't know, or the gal doesn't know how to write a contract. So that's a big driver. I mean, to me, that's one of our core values at our team, is service, not only to the public, but also to our team, and providing a venue where people can grow a career and learn how to do this the right way, and where we can transfer those skills to other agents that come on.
No, Tom, can I? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I want to dig into something that you said, and I need to hop in to say things before Steve does, because Steve really likes to ask questions. You said last year y'all did 355 transactions, and this year you're tracking to hit 500. What would you attribute? Obviously I know a little bit about your business, but like, what would you attribute
Sure.
the top 2 or 3 things to why you're going from 355 to 500?
So any great business has to have great people. So we've been really committed to finding people aligned with our mission and our vision and our goals, and that's been something that's been really critical. I've also gotten out of the way. So in the past 12 months, we've brought on a full-time sales manager. I have pulled out of production, and now I'm empowering our agents to go sell more homes. That's the whole. But but you got to really do it, though. A lot of people say they're going to do it, and there's a lot of teams out there that they're like, hey, you guys work these buyer leads. I'm going to take all the good stuff. Here's the scraps. And that's not in line with all the stuff. You have like values that are on the wall, right? And you say we're going to do all that, but you have to actually follow through and do it. And we had a plan set with my coach for literally this year to stop selling real estate that we set 5 years ago. So we accelerated the plan because it looked like it was going to happen, and then it's a tough thing to do. So that's been a major thing. And the third is that we're really focused on teaching our agents how to hunt, not just take the order. And not that we don't want those leads and people that come in that you don't have to show a lot of homes to, and they transact really quickly, but doubling down on skills. And here's how you want to use the script. Here's how to get your appointment down. Here's an appointment that generates a 72% sign rate over the past 12 years. We're going to teach you this, and we're going to practice it together, and we're going to do it every day. That sort of stuff goes a long way, because most teams don't teach you how to do this stuff. They say, hey, here's some internet leads, here's some call-ins. I'm going to go take all the listings, and that's going to be it. I mean, this is the reality of the business that we're in. So, bringing on additional leadership, getting out of the way, and doubling down on skills where I can transfer what made me successful to the rest of our agents. And now the whole success of our company is based on the people that are in front of the clients, which is how it should be, at least in my view.
Now, Tom, when you talk about getting out of your own way, we've heard this a lot in this industry. What does that look like for you now? Because you are the driver, you are the rainmaker. We use all these terms for team leads. Getting out of your way, what does that look like day to day for you now, or even operationally?
I mean, there's been a little bit of a challenge over the past three,
Yeah.
4 months because I went from this person that was this dominant listing agent, and that was my entire professional identity. I mean, you look at some of the stuff that I talked about or presented on, it was all about like listings, listings, listings. Here's how to get more listings, which is a hard skill. So I was really proud of that. But now it's okay, that's great. But if we can reproduce that and teach the team how to do that, then it's going to be better for everybody because it's not taught in a lot of places. They don't open the playbook. So pulling back from that and getting really clear on, hey, here's the 5 things I'm responsible for in the company, and here's what our operations manager is going to do, and here's what our sales manager is going to do, and have a very clear organizational chart that and have some rules about it. You have to have some like accountability rules where if I'm working in the business, and in the business meaning I'm doing a transaction or I'm listing a house, which I still have a few things we're wrapping up here. I've got to be accountable to the people that are there. It doesn't matter that I'm in the seat that I'm in. It matters that I'm doing this activity and that goes over here, and I've got to follow the same rules and the same accountability, which I've obviously been committed to, but it's a different game when you do that. So just kind of getting clear on what I can do best for the company, and right now it's not going out and listing houses, which wasn't the case a year or two ago.
Are you so how involved are you with the sales and the training? Because you're really, really well known in our industry, and I would say in your organization, hiring for the sales manager would probably be the most challenging position in your organization because you're so dominant with your skills and the scripts and just presentations and everything. Like, again, like how involved are you in that process? Are you there once a week? Are you there every day helping? Are you completely hands off? Sales manager is doing it. Walk us through that.
Well, a great sales manager doesn't mean you're great at sales. And what I mean by that is I think, managing someone is a much different skill than going out and taking a listing, right? And a lot of people don't get that. I made the mistake before where I took the agent who I thought was the best on our team, made him the sales manager, and it just didn't go well. It just wasn't. It didn't happen that way. So that was a big mistake that I made. So when we went out to bring this person on, we looked for someone that wasn't like me because we don't need someone else like me running around here. Then it's going to be. It's not going to work. Like it's going to be. Everyone's going at each other. Who's bad? That's a disaster waiting to happen. You need someone that's going to cater to your weaknesses. So I think that depends on the team lead.
Sure.
So to answer your question, I'm very involved in the training. We do the onboarding in tandem with our agents. We do a weekly listing training that I run. We have a weekly team mastermind, and this is not all this stuff's required, but this is what we do. We have a weekly team, and all our trainings are at the same time to keep it easy for the agents. So we have a weekly listing training that I run. We've got weekly presentation reps that we split up and do, one for the buyer side, one for the listing side. So we spread our skills, manpower, if you will. And then we have a team mastermind on Thursday. So I'm working on a lot of that stuff, and I'm training him to do it the way I would. But a lot of that comes with observation too. And I'm pretty involved in that, mainly because that's one of my strengths. But that's why you got to get clear on your own org chart. Like my org chart may look different than yours, Stephen, or Katie's, because we have different skills. So when you're doing this, it might be, okay, here's what our sales manager's day-to-day looks like. Here's the KPIs. Like every organization is going to be a little different, and that's okay. And I'd rather make in my view, I'd rather make like the exciting hire that they have a really clear skill set they can bring to the table. And let's kind of work around that and work with those skills instead of you got to fit into this hole because I'm different than look at some of the big the larger teams that are out there. Not all of those people think like I do or do things differently. There's some team leads that haven't sold a lot of real estate, but they're great at leading a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys know them. So it just depends on what you're going to be strong at and what kind of team you want to have. So I'm involved because that's my skill set. And we also record all our trainings. We have a training site. We put everything on. So, people can go there and it's like an on-demand library. So you can kind of now we don't have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And when a new agent wants to get into like the listing side, hey, go watch these 5 videos, then we're going to do this. And it makes it a lot easier.
Amazing. That's amazing. Tom, walk us through what you believe to be like the one or two things that every brand new agent needs to have in their arsenal, whether it's a skill, whether it's something in their schedule, like even, what did it look like for you in your first year where you got serious in real estate? Like, what are the one or two things that every agent needs to focus in on or sharpen?
That's a good question because I think that so I was. You do a lot of talking here, Stephen. By the way, you got to give Katie a break. But
I love you, Tom. You're the best.
She does the epic intros. I do the questions.
I'm just kidding around. So my first year in real estate, I actually, this was one of the training exercises we did because to me, there's been an over reliance in the industry on internet leads, like across the board. Everyone wants to have an internet lead come in. And then the listings they want to take are the people that have the home to sell that are the internet lead. Like they don't want to go out and actually find listings. And I think that that's a challenge for a lot of people. So I broke down my first 2-3 years in the business. So like Zillow didn't exist then, right? Realtor.com was in its very early stages. So there wasn't a lot of, like Facebook was barely a thing, like legitimately. So, because of that, I tracked all my business. Most of my business came from our sphere or like circle dialing neighborhoods where I sold homes. And I had like these old school geographic farms because, this was 2004, 2005 when turnover was a lot higher. So those were more viable at lower price points. And I think I could track every piece of business I did for my first 2 years to a phone call. So I broke that down for our team and I said, look here, like this is how you do this. So if you really want to amp your business up, like it's great you're converting Zillow leads. This is the way you can add to your bottom line, add to your transaction count, because we know those are going to convert at a certain rate. So number one, learn the scripts and learn to pick up the phone. I don't care what anyone says. People want to hear the sound of your voice. Text is a great way to follow up. If you pick up the phone, good things will happen to you in this business. And then probably what's going to happen is the good stuff that happens has nothing to do to a direct phone call you've made, but the activity breeds more activity, and then you become a lot luckier. And there's no scientific evidence behind this. There's no data, but I've seen it happen over and over that it's now become a case study, at least from being in the sales business of real estate for the past 20 years.
We could end it now. Like that nugget is a nugget, but it's like if anyone listens,
I got shit to do. I'll see you guys later.
If people take away one thing from this podcast, that is it. That like I just wrote it down and circled it. Like pick up the phone. So
why are people so like I hate to say it, Tom, what you're saying is not new, but why still in this industry is there such an aversion to like picking up the phone and spending time on skills? And I'm going to ask you a deep question here. Is it something like it's easy for us to blame the agents who don't take what we do seriously, or is it more of a systemic issue in the system that allows for these agents to walk out the door with the real estate license? Like there's many levels here. Like it's easy to again blame the agents who just don't take it seriously and they don't do anything. That's easy to do. Or is it more of a systemic thing? And why again do people not put in the work? So a couple of questions there.
So, I think people are, my view is this. One, there's an 87% failure rate for a reason. Mm-hmm. So just leave it. There's going to be people that think it looks easy, right? Yeah. It looks fun to go sell real estate at these companies. That's a thing. Like people really believe that. So that would be number one. I think people don't realize what they're getting into. They think it's going to be easy. They think they'll sell a couple houses and it's going to go great because there's that illusion there. And everyone knows the agent in their office or someone they know that's a total knucklehead that sells a couple homes a year. And they're like, oh, if that guy can do it or that girl can do it, I can do it too. So I think that's one thing. And this is any business, right? It's like your friend that says, I'm going to open a bar. Well, guess what? Bars also have a high failure rate, right? But it looks fun. It's cool. So I think that's one component. The second thing is I think a lot of people get overwhelmed. And then they get or they're scared, and then it puts them into paralysis because there's a lot of work that needs to get done. And the third is there's not a lot of good training, right? Like you go to the state of Pennsylvania, or you're down in Texas, Katie, and they tell you, okay, here's how you get your license, and then you call a broker, and most of the time the broker says, great, there's your chair over there, here's your seat, you can come to our training, once that we have a week, and the trainings are all the same, right? This business is not rocket science. It's about discipline and putting in the work. And there are ways to innovate. Don't get me wrong. But if everyone just made phone calls for an hour a day they'd all be successful
Yeah.
agents. I mean, it's literally that, and or 2 hours there, whatever. So there's not a lot of training, and then there's people that they think they want to work for themselves, but they're not built that way, right? Like that's like a discipline issue.
Yeah.
And this is anybody, right? I mean, because some people aren't going to do well without having a clear path. And I need to do X, Y, and Z every day, or here's my plan, or here's my schedule. And we know that the most successful agents, they practice their scripts, they follow a daily schedule, they stick to a routine, and they have the discipline to carry them, because a lot of times like motivation won't do that. Like you might be motivated to sell, but some days you're going to feel like you don't. So, and then it's, what kind, and there's some people that are okay selling 15 homes a year. Like that's all they want to do. So, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But I think you look at the disparity here, it's people looking for a quick dollar. They don't know what they're getting into. There's no training. And I mean, I think that there are some systemic issues there. At the same time, I think that's a great opportunity for people like us and the agents that are watching and tuning into this and taking notes, because there's plenty of success out there for everybody. Like this is not a finite thing. Like you can go take market share anywhere you go. So that to me, it's an opportunity as well.
Awesome. Well said. All right, Katie, this is now your section of questions. I'll keep my mouth shut over here.
May I speak now? So one thing I wanted to dig into was obviously, you touched on it a little bit already, which is picking up the phone and actually just making your phone calls and doing the work. But I think, right now, especially that's easy when business is going well in a lot of markets across the country. One thing that I kind of marveled at all of last year, for the majority of last year, was Pennsylvania was shut down for a very large portion of the year. So like, where did you last year, come up with the motivation to do the right thing, the motivation to, lead your team to do the right thing? Like talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that sucked, number one. We were literally the last region in the country, the Philadelphia area and like the 4 surrounding counties, which is basically the entire territory we work. We were the last part of the country that could go meet anyone in person. Wow. So when this all happened, I mean, I was in college in New York during 9/11, had my real estate license. So I kind of saw that. And Katie's gone.
Okay.
I guess I said something that ticked her off. See you later. That's one component. The second was, I had also been through the 2008 crash, and I think that was much more real for real estate, because especially where we are, and that was tough. I thought that was a lot harder than what happened last year, because people were like losing their houses. There was all this bad lending going on. I decided to have the good idea of getting engaged in 2008 and having a wedding in 2009. So I knew the playbook though, right? And I read this book. It was called Real Estate by Mike. It's like this old school Mike Ferry book. You can't even buy it anymore. I found it and then I lost it again. I mean, it's like old school, and it said like, here's the things you need to do to get listings. And I'm like, okay. And then that's what I did. And that's really what kind of started our business going. But what I communicated to our team, and look, we had some challenges with our team, and I'm happy to be very transparent about that. And as we go on here, was that, hey, this is where great agents are born in times like these. Because what I knew was going to happen is, as soon as we were able to go out, people were going to be like, I really hate my house now and I need to move. Or I was supposed to have bought a home already, or I got to get my kids into school, or all the things. Like life didn't stop, despite like it paused really. And so we did some stuff, like we were doing Zoom prospecting sessions every day. I kept my routine. I was getting up every day, working out. A lot of people, like they put on a lot of weight during the pandemic. I mean, I was in some, I stayed in the same shape. That was a big thing. I would eat my normal food that I would eat during the week, like, because I thought we really treated it that seriously. And we kept our schedule. And I was also really active in trying to open the state up, where, I reached out to people like Tom Ferry or Rich Barton, the CEO of Zillow, or Adam Contos, the CEO of Remax. I had to fax letters to the governor, because you couldn't call him. You couldn't get a hold of him, but you could fax him a letter. And we were, really making a lot of noise about that. And also, supporting local businesses that were doing like takeout food and those sort of things, because we were hurting, but there was other people that were really hurting. And so that was the motivation came from, I knew it wasn't going to last forever. And we were going to have to open up at some point. And when it did, there's a lot of agents that it took them like 3-4 months to get going again. Yeah. We were out there game. I mean, it was May 19th when we got the word. I mean, I was on an appointment May 20th, and it was. I mean, that's how we operated, and it was pretty important. But what I also found out happens too is that you learn a lot about people in those kind of situations. And we had some real challenges with our team. We had some major breakage. Um, it was people that maybe didn't fit in with the vision or didn't fit in with what I was doing, and because the market was good, it was easy to kind of hide that stuff. And
Mm.
we lost a good amount of agents, and I saw that as an opportunity where we kind of reset and talked about, at the beginning of the interview, kind of what happened with our team and where we are, and a lot of that was born from, okay, these are the mistakes I made as a leader, and I made a bunch of them just like anybody else, and here's the things we need to do moving forward to create a better, sustainable, empowered environment for our agents. And so there's a lot of good that came out of that, even though it was, and that's not, you can never plan that sort of stuff. And I don't know if we'd be where we are now if we didn't go through that tough time. So it was an opportunity to kind of reset and really make sure you're working with the right people, and the right people are working with you.
I find the most powerful thing that you said there, Tom, is during the pandemic, you stayed the course. You stuck to the same schedule. You just kept putting in the work, even though your state was pretty much shut down. You just kept putting in the work and sticking to your schedule. Whereas a lot of other people in your marketplace, and I would say across North America, they took it as kind of, I hate to say this, but they kind of let the foot off the gas. I don't want to say it was a vacation, because it's a pandemic, and by no means do I want to equate the pandemic to a vacation, but they just took time off. They just took it as, hey, I'm off, and whatever. And you said it perfectly. It took people almost half a year to get back up again. And getting back up, this is a very different market now. Like, we do business differently now because of the pandemic. And I don't foresee that level of, or the way we do business now, changing for the next few years. I think this is kind of the new normalcy in real estate, like virtual showings and check-ins and protocols and everything. I think, at least in my marketplace, it's going to be like that for the next few years.
Well, and so, I mean, and you're in I think it's a little different where you are too, for sure. I mean, this has been a very regional thing. I mean, where Katie is, I mean, you can go out to have a party right now and no one's going to care. So, and not that there's nothing wrong with either. I'm just saying that that's what's going on. What I'll say is that a lot of the stuff that's happened, I think it accelerated a lot of the innovation that was coming. I mean, for years, I've been telling people on our team, like, hey, don't go to settlements anymore. Do them remotely. And because it's a time suck for real estate agents. And, sometimes they would fight me on it. Most of the time they wouldn't. But then the other agent on the other side is, I've never seen this happen before. And like, I've been doing it this way forever. Well, guess what? It saves people a lot of time. And it's, in some ways safer now, especially during the pandemic. But I think, the name of the game right now is efficiency and effectiveness. And the market's moving so fast, you have no other option but to innovate your business. So I couldn't agree with you more.
So this lends itself well to the next question is, Tom, you being in the business and being successful for so many years, what would you say is the one or two things that you have a good sense of, kind of on the horizon, coming down the pipe, that agents, not to be afraid of, but should be very aware of? Very, very aware of.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, number one is there's going to be more disruption coming, right? I think there's going to be more and more large companies coming into the space and disrupting, whether they're recruiting agents from brokerages or teams, or they're hiring their own agents, or they have some referral-based model. And the more reliant you are on somebody else, the more danger your business is in. Because if you don't have a local brand that's built, and you don't have a way for you to generate your own business, and you're not clear on the basics, right? The old school stuff. The reason the old school stuff works is because it's time tested. And that should be probably 2/3 of your business. So right now we're over indexing on Sphere with our team. We're showing them how to generate listings without having to, be in one of these like portal services or anything like that. Like, that's one lead pillar, but really, if you don't have a Sphere lead pillar built, and this can happen on a team. I think this is the misconception. Everyone thinks you can't do this on a team. And I would argue the exact opposite. It's even more powerful, because now you have two people and this power brand behind you, and it's the forward-facing agent that's making the connection. You've got to have some sort of local brand. Our intention is to be the most recognized and well-respected local brand in the Philadelphia metro area. We're the 5th largest market in the country. So that's not small potatoes here. And we're doing that because that's the way we're resilient against a lot of these big companies. So that's number one. And I think the second thing is, if you can't prove your worth as an agent, look at that NAR DOJ settlement that got pulled. right? That's basically, I mean, buyer agency is under attack. That's very clear. So if you can't prove your worth as an agent, you don't know how to give the presentation, you don't know how to explain the process. Like if you want to just show up, open the door and get a commission, you're going to be out of the business. So you've got to know what it means to be a realtor and how to guide people through this process.
I can't wait to show this replay to my team, because I've been pushing this. Honestly, I've been pushing this for the past 2-3 months, is that on the buying side, there is massive vulnerability in our industry. And if you can't articulate in an intelligent way your value, we use value prop a lot, but if you can't do it, you're going to feel it in the next few years. And so thank you for bringing that up, Tom. That was amazing.
So I apologize for saying that Philadelphia or that Pennsylvania and Delaware are small if you're in the 5th largest market in the country. So I take that back. I take back my comment earlier.
I don't care. So don't.
I know. The thing that you said earlier about being the most recognizable, and I think I had messaged you about this a few weeks ago on Instagram, of like your content mix. Like I'm reading articles online, like on Wall Street Journal or, Washington Post or whatever news source, right? Apple News. And I'm seeing Tom talk about them on video. So I just want to commend you for, the journey that you've taken in your content mix to get to where you are today, because I do think that you're super recognizable, at least in the industry, but I'm sure as well in your local market. Can you talk a little bit kind of on, obviously you didn't decide to do video yesterday and today, now you have all of these shows, right? So how did you kind of get to where you have the mix that you have today as far as content and social media?
Sure. Well, I think that the people that are watching and want to start doing this, like just start with one thing you're going to do a week and be consistent and don't ever miss a week. Like just don't do it. And I think that's the great starting point, because that's where everyone's got to start. If you go on our YouTube feed, you can see some of the early videos. I was all like bloated. The videos are horrible. Like it was like they're bad, right? But the point is, if I can do video, anybody can. And I think that's where people get afraid, because it's an acquired skill. You get better at it just like anything else. So I was down at I was down in Charleston, South Carolina. It was actually it was before that I started doing like videos about like top 3 mistakes buyers make, blah, blah, blah. But I dropped them at random times. There was no system. I was literally like shooting them on my iPhone, putting them, like uploading it myself. So there was something. And then we emailed out to the database. So that was how it started. But then we brought on our marketing person. She was there, and I said, look, we're going to put out a weekly show. And I think we're at episode like 230 or something. Right? I mean, we've been doing this almost 5 years. And it was in 2016. So the math adds up. It was in Charleston, and I was at a Tom Ferry event, and he said everyone should be doing video. I'm like, man, why am I not doing a weekly show? So we started literally like shooting it the next week, and I would have like a microphone hanging down off because you got to worry about sound quality and all this other stuff. Like it's not how it looks now. Like, to be very clear, and we just started shooting it. And I think that the important thing was, this is all stuff. Like Katie, you talk about the same stuff with your clients over and over. Steven, you probably do the same thing. And Gary Vaynerchuk, who, by the way, is coming on the 5 a.m. call next week for a whole week. So everyone needs to check this out.
Wow.
So it's 5amcall.com. That's my plug. But so he'll be on the whole week. And then his sister's going to do the show on Wednesday. So his sister's a realtor in Jersey, which you guys may not know. So, but he said you want to document, not create, right? So the stuff that people are asking you, you're going to get the same question again. It's going to happen all the time, over and over. So anytime a question comes up, like, that's a show. And I use Evernote, and I literally like write this stuff down. So I have all these different shows we can look at. And that's how the first one started. So that was more for like consumer facing. It still goes out to our database every Tuesday, like clockwork. I mean, our videographer's on vacation next week. We shot 2 shows this week. Like, we do not miss a week, because if you miss a week, people are going to notice. Like I can tell you right now. So that's number one. Then as we started to develop things, it's all right, who else do I need to be reaching out to? So I'm a big believer in that. A lot of people have helped me with my business through coaching networks and just folks in general. You'd be surprised how often high achievers will look to help other people. And so that was something I was clear we could do, and also try to attract the right agents that we're looking for on our team. So we have an agent facing show that goes out every Thursday. So those were the first 2 for a while. And that one's like at like 150 episodes or something like that. So those were the first 2 for a while. And that's all we were doing. Then we started doing some motivational content. That's a little bit of a different video, and that goes out every Monday. And we've got a whole content release schedule. Like, here's what goes out, here's where we post it, here's how we distribute it. And then we started like kind of like a talk show about, like, because I think there's these, like, we talked the NAR DOJ lawsuit. That's like a big talking point in the business, right? Or this happened. All the taxes in Delaware County are getting reassessed. What does this mean? Like, what's going to happen? Like, you need some back and forth on it. So we did this with a couple agents on our team, and we were putting that out every Thursday. And then I got an offer from a radio station to come on, and I said, great. So we're going to do the same show on radio and video it. And we were kind of doing like a podcast and this like topic show, almost like if you ever watch PTI on ESPN, they have like the different, like the different things they go over. So I thought that was a kind of a cool format where it's like, all right, we're going to talk about this, this, and this, and here's what it means, and blah, blah, blah. And really give some opinion and some insight into it, not just a 3 or 5 minute video, which like most of the shows are. So now we're on 8:60 a.m. in Philadelphia, and we do that on it's every Tuesday at 3. But then we clip up the segment. Because we do 3 different segments typically. We put some of it on Instagram. The whole thing's on YouTube. We live stream it, and it's something it's a little different. And that's to talk about. And we have like local businesses coming on and different people coming on because that's a way for us to highlight them. And something that we're launching. It actually launches tomorrow, which is pretty cool. It's called On a Roll. And it's a sandwich review show of local businesses in our marketplace with our agents. And we give like a rating and everything else. One of the episodes is the pickle hoagie, Katie. So don't worry, we got that.
Thank goodness. I was really concerned. I was like, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but.
So that's something we're doing too, just to help out local businesses, because I think that, these restaurants if you think it's tough being a real estate agent, imagine being a restaurant right now. I mean, and they have a similar sort of success rate. It's actually a little higher than real estate agents, but I'm sympathetic to those people because they were also like, hey, it's springtime, and I know that's and like we have snow up here. I know you don't have that down in Texas, Katie, but Steven knows what I'm talking about. Like the springtime is a huge restaurant season before everyone starts going away for the summer, and that all got taken away from these folks. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was just ridiculous that you can go to Target, which is probably disgusting, or Walmart, but you can't go to a restaurant that's probably like thoroughly sanitized. So we're looking to give back to the community too, and try to help other people and highlight some businesses, and it's also fun. Like our agents like doing it, and it's a great way to get them on video where they may not be comfortable. So we're just looking to, again, be that local brand. And sometimes you got to go out of your way. You can't expect anything back from it. It's like literally help these people out, help out local businesses, show what's going on in the community. And I mean, we're in a large enough place, and I'm sure you guys are too in your markets, where there's places you probably haven't eaten at before, and you're like, wow, that looks freaking awesome. I'm going to go there. And it's a way for us to get it out to the people we use. And also, like, we have clients that own restaurants. I mean, it's just a way to help. And that's what service is all about. Like, we're not looking for anything more than just highlighting some local businesses.
That is such a wholesome take on the law of reciprocity. Like right then and there, right? To give without any expectation of getting, and just service. I love that because that resonates thoroughly with me, Tom.
I have a very important question about the On a Roll. Are you guys also going to be doing Philly cheesesteaks? Is that part of?
Yeah, that'll be one. So it's got to be a sandwich. That's what we kind of went with because we're like, I try not to eat bread in a lot of cases because that's how you get fat. But it's like the enemy. But we're gonna be doing a lot of stuff, and really it's not even so much me. It's what do our agents like doing? What does our staff like doing? Like, what are their favorite places that maybe people don't know about? And I'm sure there'll be some of them that are on there. So yeah, I mean, it comes out tomorrow. It's the first one, so I'll make sure you see it.
I'm very excited. Steve, do you want to ask Tom the most important question of the as we wrap up?
You can, because I've definitely answered asked my fair share of questions.
Have you? Okay, awesome. So Tom, we appreciate your time today. We do have one last question to ask you, and that is kind of along the same lines as what we were just talking about. If it was your last meal on earth, what would you be eating?
It's a tough
What kind of question is this?
This one stumps everyone, Tom. This question stumps everyone.
Last meal on earth, huh? I mean, I'd probably want to go to like some like fine dining spot and get like the best thing the chef makes. So any Michelin star restaurant, their best meal, I'm there. I've only been to one Michelin star restaurant because we don't have those where I live. So it was in New York, and it was awesome. But like
I don't know what I'm eating, but it's amazing.
Well, look, that's why you go to these restaurants.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it was I remember we went there. I forget the name of the place because it was in New York, and it was they had like this mushroom risotto, and it was really good, and that's really hard to make. But that was their specialty, and they said get that. I mean, I hate ordering food at restaurants. It's one of the most annoying things. Like, 'cause they have these, like, I want, like, pick one of the three. Tell me what the best one
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
You know, that's it. Especially
Well,
a place like that.
well, Tom, we just want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with us. All of the incredible nuggets of information you shared with both us and the viewers and the listeners. There's an absolute or an obvious reason as to why you are one of the top teams in North America. We wish you much continued success. You're obviously doing things right, and we can't wait to watch the evolution and the continued success of where you are taking your team. Now, for the people who don't know where to find you, Tom, where do they need to go to find you, follow you, and smash you?
Smash me. So Instagram's definitely the best follow. It's at Tom Toole 3RD. I got it right in the StreamYard link here. That's where all our content goes. Great place, follow, send me a DM if you want any help with anything. Happy to do all that stuff. And grateful for you guys having me on. You must have been hard up for guests this week. I guess that's why I made the cut. So hopefully you can get someone a little better next week. And it was fun. You guys are running a good show here. I enjoyed it.
One thing, Tom, before you leave, I want to let you know. So I know I sent you a buyer referral, Tom. This was a month ago. What I was surprised about, though, because I send referrals out to other, was just how lightning fast you were on top of it. And that level of just responsiveness was like, wow, like I know he's got the client. Him and his team are going to take great care of that. So that's a little plug, Tom. I wanted people to know is that you're the real deal and you're wickedly responsive.
It's only because I like you, Stephen. No, I'm kidding. That's a real thing, though. I mean, I don't think people get the sense of urgency with leads, and a lot of times, I mean, people like. Today, you asked me about like calling earlier, right? The reason people don't call as much because they think it's better to text and it's faster and more efficient. And that works to a certain extent. But if you're not responding to people quickly in today's world, like buyers don't care and sellers don't care what you have going on. If you're not getting back to them in a timely fashion, they're just like, well, what happens if the market and they got 5 offers today? I mean, that's what goes through people's heads. So I think that's a good lesson for anyone watching, that just because you might be busy or something else, you got to have systems and things in place that will get a response to those people. Even a text, hey, I'll call you after 5, or something doesn't work, or whatever that might be. That's super, super critical. Yeah.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Toole, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Appreciate you.
Peace.